Hey everyone, Craig Gillock here with Tipsy Moose Adventures. We are getting ready to film a new episode of the Bullshit Sessions, and today my special guest is Mr. Beau Martonik of East Meets West Outdoors. We've been trying to get this filmed for quite a while now, and it just seemed like nothing ever lined up. So we were both at Bucks and Bows today for a tethered saddle hunting event, and decided we take quick minute here and talk to you guys. And Beau, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Craig, thanks for having me, man. I've been looking forward to getting to do this, and you're like, should we do it now? I'm like, yeah, because otherwise we don't want to miss a window.
Yeah, with
both of us working multiple jobs.
Yeah, it's never easy to connect, especially now that you live back up home in north central PA.
Yeah, I know. It makes it a lot more difficult. I think it's been over a year since I've seen you.
Probably. I can't, with COVID, I really can't remember the last time we...
Might have been 2 years.
Yeah, face to face. I mean, we've talked on the phone, obviously.
Yeah.
But, so for everyone that doesn't know what East Meets West is, and I can't believe there's still a person on the face of this planet that doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, after the invention of the Rut Stash, you went global. Tell everyone what East Meets West Outdoors is.
Yeah, so East Meets West is basically a platform that is able to help people plan adventure style hunts from east to west, whether that's hunting elk in the Rocky Mountains all the way to hunting in Alaska or hunting mountain bucks in Pennsylvania and the Appalachian Range. So I came up with this idea on vision, kind of seeing that there wasn't anything out there to help people plan these western style hunts coming from the east. There's information out there, but people weren't sure how to use it, and I wanted to be able to interview people through a podcast that were very successful, a lot better at it than I was, and ask the questions that maybe some people that were new to western hunting wanted to ask. So that was the basis behind it. And then I realized that the whitetail side of things, there's again nobody talking about hunting big woods bucks, and I grew up doing it, and my dad is someone I really look up to and has done a lot to teach me a lot of those things, as well as the rest of my family. So basically a platform through podcasts, videos, and writing to just try to help people, have their dream adventure hunts.
I was gonna say, this is actually, I mean, Beau and I have known each other for quite a while, and we're friends, and I give him shit about a lot of stuff, but East Meets West has actually blown up pretty big for you, and you've garnered a lot of attention, and deservedly so. I mean, you have your podcast, which is a really great podcast. I advise anyone that's looking for something, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. But you've got a couple films now.
Yep, 3 films.
You've become a very accomplished writer in outdoor magazines. This has really turned into something that, it's something special, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, thank you for the kind words, but I mean, I don't know, I just always wanted to do this, and I enjoy doing this, filming and talking to people about hunting, so why not record it, and maybe people will enjoy it. And I think I've got some really good guests on the podcast that have been able to help out as far as people are tuning in, and I really try to find the right people that I think can bring value to it. And it's just when you work at something that you really enjoy, it makes it a lot easier to put the time in. And I've just been trying to put the time in for the last 3 years.
You've definitely had some big name guests on the podcast, that's for sure. Now I touched on this just a couple minutes ago, but you are known pretty famously for the Rut Stash. And everyone that watches the Tipsy Moose videos knows we're not the most serious of people, so I feel this is an appropriate venue to hear the story behind the Beau Martonik Rut Stash.
Ah, that's a good one. It's funny because so every year for the fall, for hunting season, I would grow a mustache, or I would shave my goatee, I guess. I always had kind of a goatee, and I call it the Rut Stash. And it's just a complete joke between me and my buddies and everybody. And it just so happened one time, and as soon as I started East Meets West, literally like that month, I decided I was gonna try to run the mustache, see if I can make it, you know, kind of my look, just kind of as a joke. I did it for the first event, Total Archery Challenge, where I launched East Meets West, and it became a kind of a staple. Prime Archery shot a commercial there and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it, and I had the mustache in it. And from that point forward, everyone really, they'd be like, "Oh, you're the guy with the mustache," rather than "That's Beau Martonik, that's the guy with the mustache." And it's been over 3 years, and I haven't shaved it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, it's a calling card, man, and I got to say, I see more and more people in the outdoor industry sort of copying your style with that, and every time I do, I'm like, yeah, they're ripping off Beau. That's a Beau thing.
Yeah.
That's a Beau thing.
Well, the thing is, if I could grow a good beard, I'd probably have that, but I can't. So all I could grow is just a trashy looking mustache. So that's just what I had to go with, you know. And it's just, I don't know, it's funny because I don't think I can shave it off now. I think that's kind of part of my brand.
Oh,
and one, I'd look like I'm 16.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't think you can get away with that. One thing I will say, like, everyone that's following the East Meets West stuff, they know that Beau, and like he said when he talked about this, Beau really started East Meets West because you enjoy the adventure hunting side of things, and you've been on some really great adventures. You did Colorado too. You got your elk on your own.
Yeah, that was in Idaho is where I killed the elk.
Yeah, but you went to Colorado the first couple years, right?
Yep, first 3 years.
And then you got the job done in Idaho. You've been to Alaska for caribou.
Yep.
Both of those are films now, correct?
Yep.
It's Synergy's the elk film.
Yep.
And Above the Circle?
Yep,
Above the Circle. See, he's testing.
Dang, you're doing better than I will be.
I watch your stuff.
I know, I appreciate it.
But no. So what's next on your list? What's the next big adventure for Beau Martonik and East Meets West?
From the date of recording this, in 2 weeks, I'm leaving for Colorado and high country mule deer hunt. We'll have an elk tag too, but I'm focusing on mule deer. So it'll be a 2-week long hunt, 14 days of hunting, backpack style in the high country Colorado with the bow, and going out with 2 of my best friends, and also Justin, who's filmed all the hunts and has become a really good friend himself. So we're gonna make another film out of this, and hopefully things pan out. Justin's been my lucky charm. I'll tell you what, every hunt he's went on with me, I've gotten lucky. So I try to bring him now whenever I can afford it.
Yeah, I knew how much the elk meant to you. Like, I knew the journey you'd been on to kill that elk, and I knew how hard you were working and the effort you were putting into it. And it just so happened that while you were on your elk hunt, I was in BC on my moose hunt, and I used my inReach to text back home and tell some of the guys that I'd killed my moose. And one of the guys actually sent me back, "Dude, you guys are doing awesome. You killed that. Beau got his elk." I'm like, "No shit, Beau got his elk." And like all of a sudden I completely forgotten that I had just killed this moose, and my whole focus shifted to Beau had finally killed his elk. I mean, I think my outfitter was like upset that I wasn't as excited about killing this moose as I was that you had killed your elk. And we killed him like, what, a day apart or something, I think it was.
Oh, and I was so pumped too, because then I don't know how if we texted each other somehow, once you got back into service or whatever, and I was like, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was literally like a day apart. So but no, mule deer in Colorado.
Yeah,
I'm pumped for you. This is your first effort to really go after mule deer, right?
Yeah, so I had a mule deer tag in Idaho after I killed my elk. I kind of hunted them, but more so I helped my buddies elk hunt. I didn't put a whole lot of effort in it. I'll be honest, I got so on a high after killing my elk, I didn't really care to hunt much anymore. I was so pumped after all the work that went into it. So this year I've been, ever since I started hunting out west, I loved the high country and I wanted to hunt mule deer, but I needed to kill an elk with my bow before I could move on and try to hunt something else. So now finally 5 years later, whatever it is, I'm getting my chance to hunt mule deer, and I've been just trying everything I can to be prepared for this hunt, and gonna leave it all on the mountain, that's for sure.
So speaking of being as prepared as you can be, like, I know it's deceptive in this video, and it looks like, you know, I might be as fit as Beau is here, but clearly I'm not. So what are some of the things you do? Like, what's your regimen getting ready to go on a hunt like this?
From a fitness standpoint?
You're shooting. Is there certain nutritional things you look to do? I mean, what is the East meets West standard of preparedness for an adventure hunt?
So I've learned from going on these hunts that you can never be in too good a shape. So my goal is to work out at least 6 days per week. And that doesn't mean like going full on trying to kill yourself. It's just being consistent. I mean, a lot of this stuff, I started actually working with a trainer this year to go to a different, a guy actually, Todd Bumgardner, he reached out to me and we did a podcast, and he's like, I have a different approach I think will help longevity instead of killing yourself with some of the workouts I see you doing. And he's been focusing me on heart rate stuff, so I've been doing a lot of hiking, a lot of rucking with a pack weight on. So now as we're ramping up the season, I'm doing that 4 days a week, that I'm hiking with anywhere from 35 to 45 pounds. And even though that's not as much as I'm probably carrying in, the goal isn't to hurt myself by carrying heavy weight. It's to build my body up to be able to understand what it's like to work under load, and you'll be able to perform when you're in the field. So I'm doing that, and I'm also doing just a lot of leg, core, shoulders, and back. Those are like the main 4 things that I'm doing with, so a lot of different step ups. So I have a step up box. I'll put weight in my pack, maybe carry some dumbbells, do step ups up and down, doing a lot of different push-ups, pull-ups, things of those variations to get in shape. But honestly, the hiking and the rucking is big, but overall fitness I think is important. From the food side of things, so typically in the winter time I weigh a little bit more than I want to when it comes down to before the season. So I've actually cut back on my food intake a little bit, and I eat mostly meats and meats, fruits and vegetables, and Lay's potato chips. That's my guilty pleasure. But I'm also allergic to gluten and dairy, so I don't have a choice on a lot of things. So it keeps my diet pretty simple. But that, like, I mean, so since March, I had dropped 25 pounds now, and I have an ideal weight that I feel really good going in the mountains at. Okay. And so all I did really, I didn't work out any different. I just cut back my food intake, and it's seemed to help out quite a bit. So that's important to me, the health side of it, and the fitness. But then the gear side of things. So I believe that, like, going into this, I'm a planner. That's just the way I am. Like, I have to have lists. I have to be detailed. I have to understand exactly what I'm doing. And that helps keep me organized, because if I'm organized and I know how to use all of my gear meticulously, I know where it's packed. With my eyes closed, I can go through my pack and pull something out, and that helps me. So if shit hits the fan or whatever happens, that I know where everything's at and I'm not creating any additional anxiety. So I'm planning that out. I'm planning out my hunt as far as, all right, where am I planning on hunting? I want to have 5 different areas. My first one is hopefully the only one I have to go to, but I want to have backups in case you run into human pressure, predators, or drought, whatever it might be. I want to have backup spots. I want to know how I'm going to access these spots. I want to know how I'm going to get an animal out. I want to know every detail, glassing knobs, camp spots, all of that's planned out ahead of time, printed out on a piece of paper that I take in my pack with me. Because when you're on day 7 and you can't find the elk or deer you're looking for, and you're down, you're like, I don't know what to do, you just go to plan B. You just follow the regimen instead of, getting down on yourself and everything and trying to figure it out on the fly. You always have a list to be able to go to. Now, I don't follow that list to an absolute T. You have to adjust to the conditions, but it gives you that outline to be able to follow it. So that's a big part of what I'm doing.
Yeah. Now, as we've talked about, you've got your elk, you went to Alaska, you got your caribou, and I know Alaska was huge for you. and your next step is your mule deer. Of what you've done so far, this is a two-part question.
Yeah.
Of what you've done so far, what has been your favorite hunt?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer that in two different ways. So how I'm gonna answer that is, my favorite hunt was Alaska caribou because I love Alaska. I loved that entire experience was unbelievable. Flying in with a bush plane, getting dropped off in the middle of nowhere, and being literally not seeing another person. Like, that whole adventure is something I dreamed of forever, and that's why I wanted to be able to do that. But as far as what's meant to me the most would be the elk hunt. I mean, just because I've never worked harder for one single thing than that one moment of being able to shoot that elk.
Good answer. So the second part of my question is, now that you've done that, what's the next bucket list hunt for Beau Martonik?
I really haven't got to that point yet, but I would have to say one of the ones that's probably near the top, if not the top, would be an Alaskan moose hunt. That's I wanted to do caribou to be able to experience that. But actually, one that's actually probably tied with that is going back to hunt caribou, but taking my dad and my brother, which we're in the process of planning that. I want to experience that with them, show my dad Alaska, and be able to go through that. So in reality, in that bucket list thing has nothing to do with the animal that I'm hunting, more so that getting to go to amazing place with my family is kind of what I want to do.
Well, Beau, I know this is a fairly short interview, but like you said, we're both busy, so I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Awesome,
and
Craig.
Hopefully we can hook up again here soon, and we'll have some more stories to tell.
Heck yeah, hunting season just starting, man.
That's right. All right, man, we'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you.